to identify as one, as a woman.
Yep, I would agree.
A woman is a beautiful creation of God Almighty. She is not a man, but that's not really a definition.
A woman is a person who identifies as a woman.
A woman is what God defines a woman to be.
What is a woman? So I feel like a lot of times we use this question as a way to say some kind of gotcha, some kind of, viral making moment.
God made man, and he has his parts, and I guess I don't really want to go through and name all of those things unless you really needed them to be done.
Anything she wants to be.
We have anatomy books, and we have an anatomy website, so you can go look at that. There's the physical differences.
And I honestly think that we're overthinking it. I identify as a cis man, and that's my biases, that is my privileges as it's perceived in our society. But that's just me. So if you know that I identify as a cis man, I guess the question I have for anyone that asks this question is, why are you asking me?
That's a really difficult question. Okay. I feel like it depends on the person's perspective. Like, I feel like it could be anyone.
And to make clear that a man and a woman, it's not that a man is better than a woman or superior in his existence, but that they are both created in the image of God. And a man has a certain role, and women have a role, and a man can't be a woman, and a woman can't be a man, just ontologically. So
cis, non-cis, non-binary, gender, non-gender conforming. Woman is a woman who identifies as a woman.
A woman was created by God. After God made Adam, he made Eve. And male and female created he them, is what the scripture says.
Because it doesn't really honestly matter what I think. Let's ask someone who does identify as a woman, and let's ask them what it means to be a woman, because it's all, listen, in the big grand scheme of this thing, it's all a construct. You and me being here, we're making up these rules as we go.
We come from man, and we are not the same as men. We are equal to men. We're just different, and we serve different purposes. So I don't know if that answers your question fully or not, but that's how I would define it.
A woman is any body, any person that defines themselves as such.
It's a little bit of a challenge for some reason to define a woman and feel like I would do justice to it because a short video. But a woman.
Okay.
Just gotta get the giggles out again.
You go first.
A woman is whatever you want it to be. I would say whatever you would want her to be, but that would almost be too definitive. So whatever you want it to be.
A woman is a person who stays home and takes care of the children while her husband's at war.
I'm trying to think of how just God said he made them male and female, and the male, here's a way of, this might be a way of describing, the male is supposed to be, is a picture of Christ, and the female is a picture of the church, and so they have different places of their existence, although a man is not God.
A woman is anyone who identifies as a woman.
And obeys what God has commanded them to do.
But the woman bears children, and now I'm getting the anatomy part of it, but that's how it works.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that sentiment. I'm a queer woman myself, and the LGBTQ community is really important to me, and my community is really important to me. And for me, a woman is someone who identifies as a woman, who represents herself in a way where she wants to be, identifies as a woman. That's absolutely correct.
Two distinct genders, not several, just two. Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve.
The seed comes from the man, the woman has the egg, and they combine and become a new person, and the woman is the one who carries the child and nurtures, and her body is nourishing the baby as it's growing.
Us doing this interview on the corner because we wanted to get out of the way of somebody else's good time is a construct that we just made up. There's nobody that told us we couldn't just do this thing right here in the middle of the entire room.
And then she gives birth at the proper time, and in God's design, the man is meant to be the head, the caretaker, the provider, supplier, protector, and all that means. And she is a picture of, he is a picture of God taking care of human beings, and that she is to trust insofar as can be done. The woman is cared for by the guy, and the woman raises the children.
I'd say a woman can be really anything. I think there is really nothing to define a woman other than what that person says.
And she has things that she does that a man cannot do, and vice versa. So I'm kind of having trouble, which I don't know, I was kind of surprised that I'm having trouble defining, but I was trying not to be really pictorial or anatomy specific, but it all goes together. And there's ways that men think that women don't think like that, and vice versa. So
anyone and everyone who identifies as a woman.
I just leave it that. It's hard to define, for me personally, to define a woman without bringing in the man and bringing in how God is making them different parts and roles, because it all goes together. You can't. It makes you think about you can't extract components of something and then feel like you get a whole picture. So that's why I brought in what's a man and how we got here and those kind of things. So yeah.
For me personally, it's just my femininity that makes me a woman. So
it's the plan of God from the beginning. There are some situations where very, very rare they take an intermediate path at birth, but God did create them male and female, man and woman.
So at the risk of being simplistic and getting a lot of kickback, I'm going to say, to some degree, you just know.
I would say that a woman is whoever feels feminine and wants to be a woman should be a woman. I don't think they need people to tell them, you shouldn't be a woman because you were born a certain way. A woman is a woman, and it's whatever is inside that makes that factual.
If that's what they want to be. Yep.
You know, let's hear what it means to be a woman, especially in this moment right now, everything about that question. I want to hear from folks who identify as a woman, not because we need to get it on the record, because it's an opportunity for us to learn a goddamn thing.
And if you want more further information, you can read the Bible and read anatomy books. Or look at them. Yeah, look at them. So, sure, let's try that on.
An abortion is the termination of a pregnancy.
An abortion is a medical procedure. It is a form of health care.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even have anything to add to that.
Plain and simple.
An abortion is where a mother murders her baby.
It is a choice that is sometimes the only choice that somebody has because they don't have the option or the money or whatever, or it's not the right time of their life to have a child.
It's the ending of, intentional ending of a life from the moment of conception up to birth, anything in between. That does not include, miscarriage. I know that maybe technically, medically, it's defined as an abortion, but I think the goal is to abolish.
It is the ending of whatever stage the fetus is inside your uterus, and
Or outside.
Or outside, and it can be medical. For the most part, it is. Yeah, it's a medical procedure.
Okay. So, unless I'm totally mistaken, I recently found out that in certain contexts, abortion technically means the ending of a pregnancy, whether the child is alive or dead, and it just means end of pregnancy. Very strict, specific.
Healthcare. Hard stop.
The intentional killing of a viable life.
What is an abortion? An abortion is healthcare. And in my opinion, abortion care, not even my opinion, it's endowed from Jump Street. Day one of the Declaration of Independence says that we are endowed with certain unalienable rights. That's not a suggestion. That's not a slight nudge in a direction. Is that we are endowed these certain things. That we are owed these certain things: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
So it is the choice of whoever is having it, and not all these guys or judges and stuff like that.
However, in the culture of discussions and on the street and all these things and in everyday life, abortion is ending of the pregnancy, but then it's the person's life being ended. And depending on what your worldview is, you may say it's not a person until fill in the blank, because people have all kinds of ideas and they pick this.
Life, this is awakening. Liberty, okay, we take this awakening of consciousness, this rebirth, or just birth in some cases. And what do you do with that? You take that liberty and you find a way to structure and live life in an organized society. That's the liberty of it all, the democracy of it all.
An abortion is, like in general, it's just the killing of an unborn baby or of a fetus. Like legally it's of the fetus, but I mean, like if it's still in the stomach, there is like the illegal. I'm sorry, I'm terrible.
First breath, this age, viability outside the womb, all kinds of different criteria for when a person becomes a person that people just arbitrarily, there they are. But if you look in Scripture, God regards a pregnant woman to be with child. So therefore, if you end a pregnancy through abortion of a living child, you are ending a person's life unjustly, because it's murder.
And you take that structure, and what you do with that is you form a more perfect union. A more perfect union that includes health care, abortion care, education, free, universal education, a roof, knowing where you're gonna stay, a job. So when you ask me what abortion care is, number one, it's health care. Number one, it's a human right. Side screen, it's health care.
Abortion is taking of any life in the womb.
Yeah, from day one. Day one. As soon as the egg is fertilized, it should have a chance to be to life.
An abortion is the flushing out of a fetus for whatever reason. Sometimes it can be for the life of the mother. It could include dilation and curettage, although usually that involves a non-viable fetus. An abortion is more specifically for a viable fetus, and that's what it is.
But most importantly, what is an abortion? It's owed to us. That's what an abortion is. An abortion is a right. An abortion is demanded and owed unto us. So it's not something that we should be even having to fight for. It's something we should be demanding and should be given to us. Because again, abortion care is health care, and health care is a human right. And I can't think of anything more foundational than the first document you put out with, and that was the Declaration of Independence. And it gave us those things: life, liberty, and the full spectrum that is the pursuit of happiness.
You end a person's life unjustly, and it's murder. So usually when people talk about the word abortion, and if they're against it, it's murder. And if they're for it, it's a medical procedure.
It's a right that everybody should have.
I think an abortion to me is, first of all, a normal thing that happens when you're carrying a child, puppy, cat, any animal. Abortion happens. Sometimes not by choice, sometimes by choice. Sometimes we have to rely on doctors to help us, to whether it be a financial decision, a medical decision, my decision. It's my business.
I would agree with that. I think that an abortion is what you choose to make of it. You never know the background, and really it's not anybody's business but a woman's choice. to, or a parent's choice.
Honestly,
to
you know,
decide that.
The answer to that should just be none of your business.
Yep.
Well, I'm underage, so I could not afford the ticket that I would get for traveling out of state by myself. But even if I was of age, probably not. I work a minimum wage job, so.
As Tawanda says, I'm older and have more insurance. So I do have enough money to do that. But I could not 20 years ago.
I wouldn't go get an abortion because I would tell the person who's trying to drive me, if a person said to me, oh, I'm going to drive me to get an abortion, I would say, no, don't.
No. No, I could not.
I am in a fortunate position that I can. I would be able to do that, and if I found myself to be pregnant today, I absolutely would do that if I had to. I can travel, I could stay in a hotel, I'm able to take time off work, I would have help for childcare. I am in a privileged position that I am able to do that, but I know many people are not.
I could. I think I could at this time because I have a very supportive spouse, but maybe not if it was just me.
I could.
You know, this is an issue that, you know, it's a human rights issue. There's that Thursday evening when we went to sleep and then woke up on that Friday and realized that a human right was taken away from us. And now it's on us. The burden is now on us to find a way to get back what was always ours from the beginning. And that's a goddamn shame, is what it is.
It's kind of strange because I am a man and I can't have an abortion. So maybe I'll rephrase the question with, if I had a wife, would I, and I answer the question on behalf of being married, and she was pregnant, because I would not have a girlfriend and have sex with a girlfriend because she's not my wife, so that's why I'm saying wife.
Well, I wouldn't currently be able to get pregnant, but should I need to, I would have the ability to do that or to afford for my wife to. This is not my wife. Alicia works on my campaign.
Absolutely not. I can't even afford a hotel, like on my own. I can't even afford to travel 100 miles. No.
Not because of how I pay.
Not because of how Spencer pays, but because I'm a college student. Because I don't have the time to keep good academics and work during the school year. No, I cannot afford to do that at all.
I could now, but back when I was of childbearing age and the time that I might have had one, I couldn't have, no.
I'm not going to drive you to get an abortion because that's murder. That's a violation of God's law.
Yeah, I could. Personally, I could. I cannot deny the privilege that I have living in a white body. I cannot deny the privilege that I have being raised in a, comfortable middle-class household and being able to put myself through education and a career that has afforded me a paycheck that I could travel. But we have to recognize that so many people do not, for whatever reason. They cannot afford to go out of state and they cannot afford to stay at a hotel and get that health care. And why should it matter where you ended up, where you just happened to be spat out into the world? How do we let that affect what we do the rest of our lives? We should have the right, the power to do with what we want with our bodies, regardless of our zip code, regardless of our skin color, regardless of our income. That is bodily autonomy in its righteousness.
So, could I afford it? Maybe. Would I ever do it? No.
So to answer your question, no. And we live in a state here in Missouri that was triggered less than 30 minutes after Roe was reversed. Abortion was outlawed in all circumstances. That happened like that. From Thursday night into Friday morning, life changed. And now they say it's on us to figure it out. And that's terrible. So to answer your question, no. And this is going to disproportionately affect, so much. Again, this is when we talk about abortion care being healthcare and healthcare being a human right, this ain't just a certain segment of the population. This is an all of us human rights issue. And folks are going to die. Folks are going to be prosecuted. People are going to jail for what should be a human right. Because a rightist reactionary Supreme Court, a rightist reactionary fascist movement, unelected, woke up one morning and said, you shouldn't have what's already endowed to you.
Well, I wouldn't do that because I don't believe in abortion. I think it's immoral and ungodly. Could I afford to go out of state? I could go anywhere I wanted to.
We could, but we understand there are people who can't. We fortunately work for companies who've already stepped up to the plate and said that they will cover those costs should we need them, and we appreciate and support those companies.
I could afford to do this, but I know an awful lot of friends and family and acquaintances and people that just within my circle could not. They could not. And I guess that's where the question ends, but I think that emotional and all of that is just trash. It's just not necessary. It's sad. Sad that it has to be a consideration.
Well, I think that with, traveling that far out of state to get a legal, healthy way to get it done is, I don't think that it's possible for a lot of people. I don't know that it would be possible for me at this time in my life. And I kind of go back to, I don't know, I just feel like it's really important to make the choice for yourself of what you're able to do. A safe, legal abortion, though, to have to travel is a scary thought. People should just be able to go to their doctor and make that decision with their doctor.
God's command, sixth commandment, is you shall not kill, you shall not murder.
I'm at an age that I had friends and family that were not able to get an abortion back before it was legal. I had a friend that actually went into a storage unit, almost died because she used someone that shouldn't have been doing it. But at that time when you're desperate, you do desperate things. And I think that's where we're forcing people. It's just stupid. Stupid.
So yeah, you're right, I can't afford that trip. And those who are in that position, I identify as a cis man. And this isn't, I believe, this isn't just a women's issue, because more than just the classically identified woman can become pregnant. Trans men can become pregnant. This is a human rights argument. That's what this is.
And ultimately, if I couldn't, I don't think there are too many people that wouldn't be able to get assistance with something like that, unfortunately. But yeah, I think it's an option for just about everybody.
I've never really checked into how much it costs. I don't know that we would, especially at our ages, but that shouldn't stop us.
I would adopt. As far as which way, I think it's a lot more affordable to go through the foster system and into adoption. I'm not as well versed on that. I've heard people say $20,000, $30,000. I definitely wouldn't be able to afford that. I think there should be some change in that. It shouldn't cost you, a year's wages to adopt.
I don't know that I can afford to adopt, but no, I would not. No interest in adopting children.
Yeah, I would adopt a child.
That's a hard question. I don't feel like I can afford to adopt at this time because we don't have space. But, I used to be a teacher, and so knowing the need that's there, I'm not opposed at all.
Honestly, maybe in a most technical definition could, but it would not be very economically smart for me. And at this point in my life, I probably wouldn't. I don't think I have the
tools?
Appropriate resources to care for a child right now.
Yeah.
I'll answer the second part first. If I was able to, I would adopt. I personally am not in a place able to do that.
I'd like to say that I could, but what I know of the adoption care system is that it is incredibly expensive, and it is an incredibly hard process to go through. It can take years, and it does take a lot of money. So what we're finding is these affluent, typically white people are the only people that are able to adopt, though that might not be the only type of people that want to adopt. And in that same breath, the argument on the flip side of pro-choice, you know, these people standing out saying, we will adopt your baby. Will you though? You know, I was raised Catholic. I had parents that prayed outside of Planned Parenthood. You know, I was told that if I were to get pregnant at an age where I didn't want a child, that I could carry it and give birth and give it into the adoption system.
It would be good because, one, I think it's preferable to have a family into, like husband and wife into, because that's God's design for mommy and daddy. Now, I'm not saying a single man should never adopt. It just seems like it would be very difficult, because where would the child go when you go to work? You already have to bring someone else in to take care of the child. So
I would absolutely consider adoption. Right now, I'm not in a position where running for a U.S. Senate campaign. It's been something that my wife and I have discussed. We have a 2-year-old of our own, and we're raising him currently. We don't know what our next steps of childcare plans look like. But I do think that I would absolutely love to take any person into our lives that we can help at any time.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm a woman who's in a relationship with a woman, so adoption is definitely something I'm considering in the future. But as of right now, like I said about the hotel, there's no way I could afford to adopt. And honestly, I don't see myself having an easy time getting approved to adopt, not being in a heterosexual relationship.
But at the same time, you shouldn't be able to buy a child for next to nothing either, just for, you know, sex trafficking and whatnot purposes. And
once again, I am underage. But as an adult, I mean, I've never really wanted kids, but I feel like I would prefer adopting rather than carrying my own baby.
I don't think I could ever afford an abortion. They're way overpriced. But if they were a lot cheaper, I would definitely adopt.
I could afford to adopt. I'm getting a little old to adopt, so I haven't ever considered doing that. But adoption is a great option for many, many younger adults that can't get pregnant.
But what is our adoption system? It's a mess. I mean, one of our organizations that we're donating to is Cornerstones of Care, and you know, Theo, our connection, our representative, just testified what a disaster this is, what a awful thing this is for their system, because they don't have the funding, they don't have the resources, they don't have the attention, they don't have all the people that are saying they will adopt coming to adopt. You know, it's hypocrisy at its finest. These people saying, give birth so I can adopt your baby. But why are there so many children suffering, truly suffering in foster care? You know, it just doesn't make sense.
I would if I was able to, but at this time I'm not able to, because I'm single. I'm not able to do that, but I want to be able to, and that's where I'm working toward. So yes. So adoption is, yes, I would adopt a child if needed to adopt a child, yes.
Can I afford to adopt? No. On its face, no. And that's where, honestly, the answer ends. The follow-up is, would you? It doesn't matter. If I can't do it, I can't do it. Why? I mean, that's actually what's happening now, is that we are now have to force these circumstances and these predicaments on these institutions. We got great folks here like Cornerstones of Care who already were struggling to find ways in this foster system where they've been beaten up and underfunded, and now an entire new layer of this disgusting, tragic circle is once again put on folks like that who have been doing the work before, and now we just asked even more out of them and aren't going to provide any sort of resources. You know, that is, you know, it just doesn't make sense. And these same folks who are doing this, the ones who want to protect our kids, you know, where are they when it comes to a child tax credit? That is no longer a thing. That was a thing, and the same folks who are in support of abortion bans nationally are crickets when it comes to providing any type of guaranteed tax credit or extending it because we had it and now it's not a thing anymore, or providing any more resources to our foster programs. Where are they after the birth? I don't know when a life is a life. I didn't go to school for that, and I don't play a doctor on TV. But what I do know, that's a woman right there who just lost her right. What I do know right there, it's not even all the time a woman. Like I said, that's an American fucking citizen. That is a person. That is someone who was born with certain rights. And they just lost theirs because a reactionary, extremist wing just decided to. And we're not going to let that happen.
But I couldn't afford to adopt. If I were to foster, I think they make it a much easier option to do. Yeah, absolutely. I think we all should. I think the church should be stepping up now more than ever as far as having home for these children. That we are going to have, a greater need, and it should be something that we should all be able to do. You shouldn't have to have a massive income to adopt. You should just have, if you are wanting to love and take care of a child, there should be fewer restrictions in the way of that.
No, I could not afford to adopt. Would I love to adopt? Probably not. I raised my kids. And I think it's ridiculous to think that that's the solution, because unless you're these pretty white babies that are born at birth and or that are adopted at birth, the likelihood of being adopted is slim to none. Then they're kicked out at 18 years old and expected to survive. Fix all that stuff. Fix all that other stuff. Healthcare, all of these things, and then you know what? Maybe you can take away abortion. Because if you can afford to do that, no, because it's none of your business.
I think that with adoption, it's, the expense behind being able to adopt a child is, first of all, to get a child that is immediately coming from their mother. The expenses are insane. And on top of that, so many children go into foster, they're in foster for such a long time, and the mental health things that come along with that are just, it's unbelievable, because there's no help for them. And like you said, once they're 18, they get kicked out of the foster care system. So as far as adopting a child, I think if it were the right moment in time that I was like, man, we need to do something, I probably would.
Yeah.
But at this moment in time, I would not like to adopt a child. I have 2 children of my own, and I think we're complete at that. So,
just real quick, I think a great example of the whole foster care system, and when you look at just a super high profile case, that family of what, 8?
It was 13 kids, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The ones that all went into foster care system recently that were severely abused by their parents.
The parents,
yeah.
Look what happened to them.
Yeah.
Just look at the story. That's our foster care system. There's nothing out there for them. And so then we're supposed to say, if one of them has a child, that they have to carry it, and they have to, because it's so simple, because adoption is easy and affordable. Anyway, sorry for my rant.
Passion.
We can afford to adopt. However, we're at the point of our lives where we're probably not going to do that. We appreciate people who do that, open their homes to those beautiful babies, but there's a lot to that too, that we're not, at this point in our life, we're just not able to do.
Are we aborting Earth? So, no. I think that, the Earth is being damaged by some intentionally. I think that's something that should not occur at all. It is a secondary issue for Christians. Everything that we do should bring glory to God, including the way that we take care of this earth. So pollution, whatnot, we shouldn't be doing that. But at the end of the day, the earth is going to pass away, which is what we firmly believe. So it's definitely on the back burner. So it's a non-issue, I guess.
My definition of abortion is terminating a pregnancy, then no. But if we're comparing abortions and environmentalism, I mean, I don't even know how to compare them, so I would say no.
If you take aborting in the context that we've had so far with ending a pregnancy, then that would mean we're giving birth, we're trying to give birth to the earth. That sounds a little interesting, a little strange. So in that sense, I don't think so. But it may be you're saying, are we destroying the earth? So if that's the context, or that's the meaning of it, then...
So I probably wouldn't use the word aborting. I would probably use the word killing what we're doing to the earth, because I don't know. That's probably just the terminology I would personally use for that. But yeah, I mean, however you want to call it, we are harming the earth. We're doing it great damage.
You know, we're doing a lot of awful things to this earth. You know, capitalism especially is ripping this earth to shreds, you know, with climate change and these gases and what we're doing to demolish the natural splendor and natural health of this planet. We are destroying that. We are not aborting it. Abortion is healthcare. Climate change and what we're doing to this earth is catastrophe.
People are sinners, and they do evil things to one another because we've rejected God's authority and his commands. And it says, himself has said in the scripture that we've rejected God, and we know enough about him to be accountable for that, and that because we do that, his response of judgment is to turn us over to do things we shouldn't do. So the reason why there's all these evil things in the world that people do to each other is because we have rejected the one who made us, and so he turns us over in judgment, and then we do all these awful things to each other. And so there we are destroying each other when we do those evil things. There's middle bits of destruction, and sometimes it becomes big destruction.
Are we aborting Earth? Well, here's what I know is happening right now, is that in real time, we have human rights being taken away with the reversal of Roe v. Wade. We have voting rights being taken away systematically and with precision accuracy, stripping us in real times of fights that we had won, movements that had progress written in stone, that folks, a reactionary, rightist reactionary group, taken away in real time.
Are we killing Earth a lot faster than we should be? Probably, but I don't think we're aborting it. I mean, the Earth is already here. It's already alive and well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, abortion involves the flushing out of the womb, and we're not flushing the Earth out of the womb. Not yet, anyway. NASA might surprise us, though.
We are doing strange things to the earth. The Bible says that as long as the earth remains, there will be seed time and harvest, so we can depend on planet Earth to provide all the food that man needs and what have you. But sin brings a great consequence to the earth. It always has through the history of man, and those consequences are seen in nature.
Definitely worried about, you know, my students' children, if they had children, you know, and what kind of a world are we leaving them?
My gosh, yes. Are we leaving anything for them? Who wants to have a child and bring them up in this environment, the physical climate environment, but also the environment of our country right now?
You know, the classic example everybody eventually gets to is Hitler in Nazi Germany, or Stalin with his starving millions of people, and then we have other current, more modern day examples that are close to our time period, and there's more in the past too. So we are, by the fact that we are fallen away from God, we are destroying things, and the only way to stop it is if we turn to God and our hearts are changed and we no longer want to do that anymore. But the thing is, not everyone is going to turn, and there's going to be a judgment from God. And so I guess the answer back to the question is, are we aborting the earth? If we're talking about destruction of things, we are destroying each other. But I think there's people have different ideas about the cause. So the cause is our sin.
It's not a natural disaster. It is a man-made disaster. Abortion is not. That is healthcare. That is reproductive rights. That's bodily autonomy. Those are two totally separate entities. Now, from my perspective, I don't want to have children because I know what kind of earth I'm bringing them into. I know that this world will be on fire at some point, whether it be my lifetime, whether it be my children that I'm not having lifetime. At some point, we are going to implode the earth. And it's not worth bringing a child into that. It's not even worth for me to want to see it through that.
Just all kinds of things that you would reflect on about nature can be affected by man's sinful ways.
I don't know that aborting is the appropriate word, because abortion is literally a healthcare decision. Abortion is a procedure, but we are letting our earth perish, which is not an abortion. We are letting our earth go into disarray and putting ourselves in a position where it may not be inhabitable for human life in the future. And so I would not call it an abortion in any way. However, I do think that we need to make sure that we are taking care of our planet. We are doing everything we can to make sure that future generations have a planet to live on that they can thrive on. It doesn't make sense for us to continue to pollute, to rely on coal-based energy, and to do things that make sure that future generations will have asthma, they will have worse health outcomes, they will fight war over water, that we will have mass migration. None of that makes sense when we have the ability to take action right now.
I do think that is when we would use the term murder. We're killing Earth.
But to say that we're aborting the earth, it's not what we're doing. We are destroying it to its very core. But abortion is not destruction. Abortion is life-giving. It's life-giving to the person that's giving birth. It gives them their life. It gives them their choice. It gives them their autonomy. Abortion is joy. Abortion is freedom. What we're doing to the earth, that's the opposite of that. Very distinct differences.
Our voting rights, our human rights, taking away your power to organize as labor, to reclaim your time. So how am I going to negotiate for higher wages? How am I going to form that more perfect union that, again, we said from day one in the Declaration that it is not a suggestion, it's endowed and demanded unto you. How the hell am I going to pursue that more perfect union when we are under assault every single day by folks who aren't even trying to take us back to 50s and 60s? We're talking like the 1850s and 60s. You know, that's what's happening. So are we aborting America?
One day God will put everything right and separate people from those who believe Him and those who don't. And frankly, this is a strong thing, but you can look it up. I did not make it up myself. It says in Scripture that Jesus will destroy those who don't know Him and don't believe Him. And those who do believe Him and know Him will marvel at Him and be with Him forever. So the destruction by humans of the planet, doing evil, just doing destructive things, will end by God's doing. So,
as a society, as in general, as a world society, we are parasites on the planet, and we're destroying it waste product by waste product by waste product. We're like fruit flies in a jar.
Are we aborting America? Well, I don't know. But I know that is happening is that a lot of folks are trying to suppress our promise of the freedom of it all. That even from the Declaration of Independence to the Declaration of Sentiments, we had folks who, in spite of their own failings and flaws, we have to look past their own inequities and failings and see the promise of the freedom of it all. You know who did that? Folks like Frederick Douglass and MLK and A. Philip Randolph. Folks today, like right here, who are acting on their own behalf because the establishment ain't giving them a damn handout, ain't giving them a damn help. It ain't even a handout. We're not getting even help. We're not even getting the tools we need to fight back.
Well, in Revelation, God's going to destroy the earth with fire, so I don't really care about the environment.
Absolutely. There's still time to turn it around, but it's just getting worse. We thought it was getting better. I think it's slipping back the other way.
We are every single day. Like every single day that, you know, we plant native plants around our house. And the reason we do that is to support the bee population and to do what we can to try to support the monarch population. And this year there's been so few bees in the past 3 years that we've been doing this at our new home. And it's concerning to me. We're destroying something that literally in turn can be a life source for us, because pollination is part of life. Pollination creates food for us, and we're destroying it. We are destroying it every freaking day. And it is devastating to see it, with the polar ice caps melting, with polar bears starving to death in the Arctic because there is no ice for them to be able to actually hunt. They're swimming for hours
think
upon
about
hours.
this. And we're worried about whether someone makes a decision, a health decision, or determining what is best for themselves.
Yeah.
We're worried about.
But everything else can be pushed under the rug.
And speaking of those native plants, that's why I planted the native plants, and I'm a big native plant person. They're even wilting because there's not enough water. It's going to be our next fight, but I'm sure the administration or someone will find another big issue and point squirrel, and we'll all look away from it, and we'll all look that way and this way. But it's environmental, it's private rights that we're doing. It's mind your own freaking business.
But yeah, we should take care of this earth. It's a gift to us, and everything in it. So we should be good stewards of that. We should want to make it nice here, right?
I think there's a really succinct way to say that, and that's to say that an abortion is not killing something, but we are in fact killing our earth. So
Perfect. Thank you. That's the perfect way to say it. Thank you.
But here we are, because we have it within our own power to begin the world over again. So as they try to abort America, we reclaim our radical history of America in real time to form that more perfect union. And we're gonna win.
We saw somebody we know.
That was
Sorry.
so weird.
Yeah.
Is he still recording? Here we are.
Problem.
Mind your own freaking business.
Oh, she did not.